Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Y&E podcast. We're glad that you've decided to join us. My name is Yemi, and my co-host is.
Elvis.
We have an important guest joining us for a conversation, and she's a woman with many hats. She's a wife. She's a mother. She's a veteran in the army. She's a business owner, and she's just all around wonderful. So let's welcome our first guest on the Y&E podcast with a round of applause. Let's welcome Omolade. How you doing tonight?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so very much, Mr. Amy and Mr. Helvis, for having me on Y&E podcast. It is such an honor. I do not take it for granted. So thank you so very much for the warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. In our first episode of this podcast, we talked about bringing professionals, bringing people, you know, insurance agents, military personnel, business people, educationists, and all of those people. Just, maybe once in a while, we bring them on to talk about, their experience and their profession. So from our first episode, we promised that we'll be bringing people, and we are glad that you are joining us to have a conversation about life insurance generally. I mean, let's face it, and we've seen firsthand how helpful they can be, and it looks like it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So we are glad that you are here tonight. Yeah, we do not take this opportunity for granted.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Again, thank you for joining us. This is definitely an important milestone for us. You're first guest, and we're happy to have you. It's going to be a great conversation. We're all going to enjoy it. And before we go too deep into the topic for today, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you so very much once again. So I am nothing without my creator. So everything I'm going to tell you about myself, it all first starts with God. I'm a child of God. I am blessed to be called His. So everything about me, it has always been God, and it's still God. Already, you mentioned my name, Omolade Angela Babalola. I'm a mother, I'm a wife. By the grace of God, I'm a veteran of the United States Army. I actually spent 9 years and 9 months by the time I left. I was actually getting close to that 10 years old. Like, you know what? I think now might be the time. So it was a good run. I enjoyed every bit of it. That's what I do now. My husband and I, we own a home care agency business that we run together. He's like 100% into that, and I'm kind of like 40%. 100% of me is insurance. I'm a licensed producer. I basically assist family members to ensure they have a protection coverage in place. I mean, God forbid if anything happens. But also, I assist families to design private pensions using insurance products. So basically, individuals who have retirements through their workplace, but would also love to have something else on the side. I assist them with that. And also, if you don't even have anything, simply because you're a business owner, you're not even sure. A lot of times, retirement is through the workplace, but you're a business owner and you're like, how do I go about this? I definitely want to have something for my golden age. I also assist with that. We're able to set you up with something that we know that in your golden age, it is guaranteed to keep you all through your lifetime without running out. So basically, that is what I've been busy doing. What else do I do? Yeah, I'm just a mom and a wife. So all of that role coupled together with the extra role, that's pretty much what I do.
And you forgot the biggest one, which is this being a CEO. You are the chief executive officer of your family. So that is even the
That is
biggest
true.
job.
That is correct. The boss of the home. Yes, it is a beautiful role, except it comes with its challenges. And some days you're just like, man, I really wish I'm not wearing this cap right now. But I'm grateful.
Yeah, I definitely can imagine handling the business side, the family side, and still being able to take care of yourself and giving your best. So I believe, you are very busy, and I'm glad we're here having the discussion today. Can you tell us your immigrant story? How did you come to America? What were the challenges, and how did you find yourself here?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting one because when I was gonna come into the America, I did not even have any plans for it. I never thought about it. I had a really good paying job in Nigeria. I was actually working with DSTV. And my husband at that time was working at the bank. And so, but he had an engineering background. And for some reason, he wasn't enjoying it. And he's like, yeah, we need to think of something else. And I'm like, what are you thinking about? He's going to go study outside the country. Oh, yeah, sure, by all means. So he, at the time, we kind of like arranged our visas such that even though he had a student visa, we also had the dependent student visa. So when he came in, I think 3 months after he came in, myself and our oldest child, she was the only one we had at that time, we came to join him. So we're dependent on his student visa. And for two and a half years, I was just a stay-at-home mom. Along the line came our son. I wasn't doing anything. Husband was schooling. He was also working at the same time because he was fortunate to actually get an assistant job with the school at that time. So it was a little bit of a challenge because it was different. We had a lot of luxury back at home. Working in a bank, he was working with one of the top rated banks at that time. I also had a good job, so we had to forego some things for him to study. It wasn't really fun. I did not really enjoy it because there were days that were kind of broke, you know. But thank God for the American system. They had it set up that such that if you weren't earning so much money, you could be on some assistance, and that really helped. At least for my family, for those 2 years, we were on some kind of government assistance. By the grace of God, towards the end of his program, he got a job and we were able to move out of Louisiana, which was where he attended school, and moved to Indiana. So at that time, we're cut off from every government assistance and everything. It wasn't a bad thing because it was pretty much time for us to actually be on our own feet. 2.5 years, the government has supported one way or the other. So it was okay and things were looking better. He had a higher paying job. At that time, still, I'm not able to work. Along the line, while we were still in Louisiana, one thing led to the other. We met another Nigerian who was not really a student, but he lived around. And you know how Nigerians, we kind of interact, talk about, not like we talk a lot about ourselves, right? A lot of times we're trying to like hide the true picture. But being who my husband is, he's not the kind of person that necessarily wants to hide the true picture, and so he wants to say everything. And they got talking with this guy, and the guy was like, you're a green card holder. You guys have it a lot easier. And it's like, no, I'm not a green card holder. I'm a student. I'm on student visa. And he goes, really? For some reason, I thought you're on student visa. And so they got talking, and was like, he told him that I am at home with him here in the States. And it's like, so what is your wife gonna do? It's like, well, she's not doing anything now. We're just hoping that once I'm done with school, whatever company I work with, he's gonna file for him. I think the H visa now. Yeah, the H visa, and also file for me, and possibly I'll be able to go to school, and just start the journey like that. And the guy just said it casually, was like, yeah, you might want to consider the MAVNI program. So what's the MAVNI program? The Military Ascension Vital to National Interest program that allowed immigrants, legal immigrants with certain visas to join the United States Armed Forces, specifically at that time, the Army. And so we started to Google this thing. I reached out to recruiters. A lot of them didn't know about it, even though it was in Louisiana. Luckily, at that time, we were getting ready to leave Louisiana. We just had our baby. And I just told him, I said, when I get to Indiana, we're going to find out more about this. I came to Indiana, spoke with a couple of recruiters. Same thing, met the roadblock. A lot of them didn't know about it. But I was fortunate to meet this one recruiter who was like, if that's a thing, we're going to find out. And so he started on Facebook. He saw that there was a Facebook page for it. And then he goes, sure, there is something about this thing. I just need to find out about it. And so he went on, took it upon himself, found out a lot of information about it, and was like, yeah, I will qualify because I met the requirements. You had to be in the country for 2 years. You had to speak certain languages. The list of the language. I'm a proud Yoruba girl. Yoruba happened to be on that list. So I kind of qualified based off of the basic requirements. And that was it. It was so funny because my husband was like, no, you're not going to join the army. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm going to join the army. especially when they told me about all the benefits. And the biggest factor was the fact that we could be citizens, you know. And this was something that it doesn't come on a platter of gold. We were already thinking about how we're going to be hopefully selected for H visa. And even at that time, my husband, the job he got, they had done this pool thing where, you know, like a raffle draw, and he was not selected the first time. And we're doing the second raffle draw, and I'm like, look, we can't afford to wait and hope that you get picked. If this is something we can pursue, I'll pursue you. He made fun of me. He was like, you're probably not even able to run. And I'm like, no, don't, you'll be surprised. Forget about the size. If I had to do this to save my life, I will do it. To cut the long story short, I got into the army. The first few days of my basic training, I almost gave up. But I kept thinking about the three little ones that I left at home and my husband. I think my biggest motivation was the fact that at that time, we have three kids, two of which are US citizens, and one is not, as well as myself and my husband. So I constantly was in a dilemma telling myself, am I going to, if anything happens and they send us back to Nigeria, am I going to leave my two kids here and the three of us go back? So that was my motivation. I'm like, no, every one of us must be citizens. So I kept on going. He was terrible. He was gruesome. He was intensive and emotionally I had a lot of breakdowns because I couldn't see my kids. I left my 18-month-old baby at that time. But overall, I kind of just told myself, you have to just keep going, persevere. And by the grace of God, finished basic training, went over to my AIT place, which is where I learned to do my job as a respiratory therapist. And after that, I think all of it is story now. Almost 10 years even done with it. And I look back and I'm like, it went by really fast. So for me, it was a little bit of a challenge at the initial stage, and even all through the years. But I have a very supportive husband. We kind of agreed it was a better route for us as a family, even though it was going to be stressful. But it was what going for it because of the benefit. It definitely outweighed all of the challenges that we're going to be experiencing. So for me, it was a success story. Thank God. Went I never deployed outside the country. Deployed once for COVID, but that was with in the country. Had some one or two. Had at least one training outside the country, but again, I enjoyed every bit of it, and I'm grateful. It has brought us a lot. The Lord used it as a stepping stone for us. I mean, when I look at what is happening in the country today, I told myself, what if we had not made that move? Sometimes it's not just having an opportunity, it's actually identifying it and actually taking the action. So for me, I'm just grateful and thankful to God. It's been a success story for my family, and the immigration story, quote unquote, is a good one overall when I think about it for us.
That's a very interesting story, and I don't not even exactly sure if there is anybody that will hear that story and not be touched, and they can definitely see the reason why. In your opening statement, why you made mention of God factor. I mean, there is almost nothing that God cannot do. I mean, He sent somebody to come talk to you about something that most people don't know about, and here you are. You picked up the opportunity. Kudos to you for being able to identify the opportunity and being able to convince your husband to go that route. I mean, it can't get better than that. We all had our challenges. A lot of us had, very terrible, well, for lack of a better word, very terrible experience, coming to America. When I came, I didn't know Yemi. I didn't know nobody. And they just say, hey, go meet this person in Indiana. And that was it. And I came, lived with Yemi, plus two other guys. And then today, I mean, anybody I meet, I tell them that he's my brother, he's my other brother. That's it. That's what I tell people. I don't know him before,
I'm not that old
but
too, please. I'm not that old.
you will soon get to 55.
Oh my God.
So let's get back to the crux of the matter. That was a very interesting story. That was a very, very interesting immigration story, and I just hope that most people will hear it. And the motivation, the sacrifice, you sacrifice for the family. Going away, leaving the children. I mean, for the most part, most people that go to the military, like basic training, that is the biggest challenge for them. Leaving behind the family, Let me tell you, almost 9, 10 years ago, people were not allowed to use cell phone in the boot camp. But today, I think they have become soft, quote unquote soft, and people are able to use cell phones. So most people don't even feel the impact. But let's go to the crux of the matter. There have been a lot of challenges with regards to insurance. In fact, about 8 years ago, my friend, his brother died, and we tried to take the body back to Nigeria. They were calling about $15,000. There was no money. And even to buy a lot here to bury him, there was really no money. So we had to open a GoFundMe. Fortunately for us, we were able to raise about 5,000. We bought a lot and buried him here. So ever since that time, it has really changed, the way I look at insurance, life insurance in particular. Can you really explain what life insurance is and what life insurance is not? The different dynamics to it, the different types of it. But let's start with, familiarizing us with what life insurance is because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, thank you so very much. So let me just tell you in a layman's language, life insurance is a plan. It's basically you planning for a situation whereby your income becomes unavailable. As a family member, as a brother, as a child, whatever it is that everyone is relying on you for, usually financial income wise reliance, you're making a plan such that if that ever goes away, your loved ones, your family members, they are not left stranded. So how do you achieve that? A lot of times people consider to themselves they can do these things by just saving money, by putting money aside. But the beauty of having an insurance is the fact that you can purchase something much more than you can offer yourself. You can purchase something much more than you yourself can save up to. So with a life insurance policy, your goal is to ensure that as a family member, as a spouse, a wife, or a husband, if something was to happen to you today, that automatically affects the income that you're bringing into the family. That income can still continue, even in your own absence, for at least a period of time, so that your loved ones are not under a financial burden or stress. Now, with regards to types of insurance, basically, there are just two types. A term policy, which is like a temporary, we call it term, but it's temporary. So it's for a period of time, or a permanent policy, which is basically saying it stays with you up until the time you die, usually up to 120 years. To be honest with you, I think what I've seen is a lot of people think you can just have one and that's all you need. The truth is that should be the minimum. Have one life insurance policy. But where we miss it is we don't try to understand that there is a fundamental to owning a life insurance policy. You're gonna come in contact with policies that are gonna have several features. You're gonna hear people tell you, well, what if your life insurance could do this? What if your life insurance could do that? If you're not asking the right questions, you're not gonna get the right solution. Depending on what you want for a life insurance policy, that should be the determining factor as to what kind of policy you get. And you may want several things. You may decide that you want a policy that pays out. It doesn't matter what time you pass away. You may want a policy that, God forbid, if you become sick or you had a chronic sickness. And gone are the days where life insurance was just all about the person dies and the money gets paid out to their loved ones. These days, we actually have policies that are designed to actually take care of the individual as well should they become sick with certain illnesses, chronic or critical illnesses. But at the end of the day, if you're not asking the right questions, there is a chance for you to want to imitate. I call it imitate. I mean, it's imitation because everybody is doing this. This is what the hype is. This is what is in vogue. But you are not asking the right questions as to what do I actually want my life insurance policy to do for me. I come in and I tell you your life insurance policy can result in generational wealth for your loved ones. Your life insurance policy can actually pay you through your retirement as an income. Your life insurance policy can be used as a bedrock for setting yourself up to do other things in life. Your life insurance policy could actually be used to take care of you if you become sick. And I ask you, Elvis, which of these four is the most important to you? You may not even want any of those four. And so that makes you ask me a question like, well, I would like a policy that I can purchase a car from. And I say, yeah, sure, you can have one like that. So a lot of times people just need to ask the right questions. Most of the time, what I see is people are asking me, tell me what is this all about? And after you tell them, it's like I'm trying to steer you in a particular direction versus me trying to understand what would you love something to do for you. I've listed to you majority of the things, the features that you can get. Overall, the biggest, to me, I feel like the contingent should always be about affordability. A lot of times people hear all of these features and they are great features, right? And you want to go for it. The question is it right for you? Can you afford it? You want to have a platinum experience, but you're only able to actually pay for a basic experience. It doesn't really add up. But what if I could give you something close to your platinum experience, but you may have to drop a few things so that what you also want can be included? So at the end of the day, it's determining what kind of policy you want or what kind of policy you should get should not just be based on the features it affords. It should also be based on your affordability. Can you pay for it? Because the truth is there's a price for everything. And a policy that you cannot pay for is a policy that is likely going to lapse. And when it lapses, you lose it. The other thing is, if you never understood the value from the get go, there is every chance you're going to tell yourself you're getting rid of this policy. And I'll be honest with you, there is nothing worse than actually getting rid of canceling a policy. Not because I'm a producer, but because I've seen situations where today you are able to get that policy, but tomorrow something happens in your life and you're not able to get it. So now you just canceled what you have and you're trying to go get another one, and some other things have happened in your life. You Life insurance is something that you cannot just, like you said, you have to have it before you need it. It's not something that you have so much control over and tell yourself, I'll get it anytime. So when you have one, the best thing is for you to figure out what you need to do to make sure that you never lose it. I've had people tell me, oh yeah, it's too expensive, it's too this. I tell them, you can bring it down. Bring the coverage down to a rate that you can afford. Because if you try to continue to pay that high, whatever it is you're paying, it will get to a time that you tell yourself you're not paying. And it's only a matter of time before everything goes out. And then you lose it outrightly. So the factors for consideration should not just be about the features. It shouldn't just be about, oh yeah, this policy can give you this, it can give you that. It should be also about, well, what do you actually want it to do for you? Plus, can you afford it? And there is no harm in you having multiple. You can have a policy to do one thing for you, have another one to do a separate thing for you. It is all possible. Knowing what you want and asking the right questions is how you get the solution as to what life insurance policy you should get. For me, I'm not for one over the other because they all serve different purposes. For someone that wants to make sure that in their youth, they are trying to get things done and they feel like they may be quote unquote endangered because of the kind of job they do. They want to get a large policy because they know that, okay, I just have to worry about this. My kids are still young. My wife or my husband is still young. I just have to worry about this for 30 years. For such an individual, I understand that the kind of job they are doing, they are already building wealth one way or the other. I tell them there's nothing wrong with you having a term policy. Get a 30 years term policy, lock it out. In those 30 years, I hope you're actually doing something to actually build money. Like you have a 401k, you have an IRA or something, or you're into some businesses that when you're in your 60s, you have a boatload of cash sitting that you can actually use in your retirement. And I've had people tell me, it doesn't matter at what cost. I want to make sure that I leave something for my kids. I tell them, yeah, you definitely want to go for a permanent policy because your goal is to make sure that you die at 70 or you die at 100, you leave something for your kids. I'm not going to tell you to go with a term policy because it's not going to work out. It's going to end. It's going to terminate after a period of time. So that doesn't give you what you want. So For determining what kind of life insurance policy, don't just go off of the features. Ask yourself, what exactly do you want it to do for you, and can you afford it?
Okay.
With that, you should be able to get yourself something. And I tell people, there's always something for everyone. There is.
Okay. You should have been a teacher. You covered a lot of ground, and it
You
seems
should be a teacher. But I feel like I'm not patient enough.
it
I'm
seems like
patient.
you covered everything. Like it's almost like there is no question to ask.
Yeah, I think you did a good job covering everything. And for me, I believe life insurance is very important, especially if you're in another man's country where there are no family members around. You definitely need something that will set you up or set your children or your family members up for success. Shoot, anything happens. I know we don't like to talk about debt, but debt is part of life. It's just a transition to another life. It's a transition to another thing entirely. We need to be making sure that we set our family members, the people that are going to be left behind when we're no more, we need to be able to set them up for success. Like you said, affordability is important. And also, what need are you trying to satisfy by getting a life insurance? For me, I think it's all about building wealth and also taking care of my children, taking care of my spouse in case something happens, in case I'm not able to work. I know there's disability insurance out there from my employer, but it's also good to have something in the back burner just to be able to make sure you have a lot of other options outside of your employer. Because I know with all the insurance policies that we have with our employers, when we get fired or when we get laid off, the policies don't transfer. So it's important that we have something set aside for our family members that will take care of us when something happens, whether we lose our job, we get laid off, or we pass away. So I think that's those are the things we need to think about. Those are the basic things that we need to think about as immigrant in America. And many of us, as an immigrant, we didn't bring a ton of money into the U.S. But we came in, we're working, we're building wealth for a family, and it looks like our other counterparts, they're way ahead of us. But with hard work, with God on your side, you leveraging all the opportunities available onto you, you can actually catch up. And one question that I would like to ask is, a lot of people will say, I don't have money. I don't have enough money after all the bees to get an insurance policy. So what would you say to people like?
So, to be honest with you, if people don't see the value in something, it will be hard for you to convince them to get it. So, for someone that tells me they don't have money, my question to them is, how would you love to know today that if you're on a sick bed, your family is probably going to be outside living in a shelter? Just imagine that while you're alive, that you're not able to work and your family is going to be having to live in a shelter. A lot of them are going to be like, no, that's not an experience they want to have, right? Well, you're alive and that could possibly happen. Well, how much more if you're no more? Can you imagine that you're no more and that is a possibility? How does that make you feel? What I've realized is when people see a picture of something potentially bad on the negative side, we try to avoid it. Versus when we see something that could potentially be positive, go towards it. So let me explain that better. If I told you that, look, if you go in this direction, you're going to be hit by a car. There is a chance for you to avoid that route. You will most likely avoid that route. Why? Because it's a bad outcome. If I said, Mr. Yemi, if you go in this route, there is at least $1,000, $2,000 waiting for you. You just have to put in an extra effort, probably work an extra 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, and then at the end of the shift, you have to submit some paperwork. You're like, yeah, I see the good in it. It's positive, but you know what? I'm gonna pass. You're gonna pass because you believe some other time, or you can make it up for it somewhere else. But when there's a negative outcome, potential for a negative outcome, people tend to want to avoid that at all costs. So my goal will be to explain to you the possibility of that negative outcome and just lay it at you. You're going to try to do something about it, or you're not just going to do anything about it. You know it, but you're not going to do anything about it. Or you know it and you want to try and make an effort. Something is always better than nothing. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to be able to give it all. But giving something is better than giving nothing. So I tell them there is always an extra somewhere. You just have to find it. If it means you're working 1 extra hour every week to cover for that amount, and you know that that extra shift you're taking is solely, it's a money that is solely dedicated to the premium of your life insurance policy, do it. If your family and your loved ones are that important, but I get if they are not that important, you don't have to stress yourself about it. You're not telling me that, but that's what you're telling your loved ones that they're not that important for you to actually stress yourself for an extra hour or two to make those extra bucks to be able to pay for their life insurance.
Man, they say never judge a book by the cover. I mean, you have a lot to give. I won't lie. So we are saying that life insurance is not a substitute for retirement or 401k. It's not. It's not a vehicle for wealth creation. It's just a kind of protection, for your loved ones, just in case things go left, and then that's what it is for. It's not a vehicle for wealth creation. Is that correct?
No, that is not exactly correct.
Okay.
It's not correct. So, um, here's the thing we need to understand. A lot of times, what I realize is people rely on information left and right, instead of actually sitting with a professional and getting things done with professionals. So it's kind of like you need to understand that you don't know it all, and that's fine. You don't have to know it all. It impresses me when I hear people want to talk about the likes of Warren Buffett, the likes of Trump. These guys don't do most things by themselves. They have people in their corner who do it. And I know that firsthand. My husband and I, we have a home care agency. We have a CPA. She's our go-to lady. I mean, every time IRS sends us stuff, we don't even bother our head about it. We just send it off to her. And she knows that stuff. She fixes it, right? Because that is what she's trained to do. She understands all of the loopholes, the legal loopholes. She was just telling us this year, she said, I had to go back to last year to fix your tax return for me to be able to bring forward some things. I mean, she said I had to fix your 2023 tax return. I had to go back into it, fix a few things, amend some things so that I can make some adjustments in your 2024 tax return. If I did that at HR block myself, I wouldn't do no adjustment because I don't know what I'm doing. It's the same thing when you want to achieve a goal, you need to go with people that understand what's going on. That's why it's important that you have a need, you identify your need, and you communicate that. It is not exactly true. Life insurance policies can actually be used as a wealth creation tool. It's only in the design. You need to determine how you go about it. And, you know, I don't mean to sound like classifying people, but one thing people need to understand is their fundamentals. Life insurance policies that are designed to build cash, to build wealth, they are designed specifically for a reason. The initial intention for these things were because the individuals that they were designed for, they do not qualify for Roths. We all know that Roth IRA has a tax-free benefit, right? It goes tax deferred, and you can take the money out tax-free. Well, the super wealthy rich guys, I'm talking about those that are, combined income. I don't know the exact figure now. If I Google it, I'll be able to see that. Maybe close to 200,000 or over. If you're earning over a certain amount, you do not qualify for Roth. You cannot set up a Roth account, right? Because you are over that limit. So what happens? Insurance companies are able to provide them a vehicle for them to be able to put money aside and take that money out tax free. So this thing is actually designed for such individuals. Now, what is good for the goose can actually be good for the gander in the sense that when you work with people that know what they are doing, they can actually help you to structure those things such that you may not be earning as high as those who don't qualify for the Roth. You may be earning lower than that, but you can still get the same effect. But
So,
it means that you have someone that knows what they are doing. Go on.
so it's not like a blanket approach. It can be tailored according to your need.
It needs,
You know.
it
Okay.
needs to be tailored.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, One size does not fit all. No, it needs to be tailored. It needs to be tailored to get the best result out of it. And again, which brings me to that point where I said you could have several. This one is for you're trying to build wealth in it, and this other one is strictly for protection for a period of time or for eternity. That's fine. You design it the way you want, meet your needs. But no, it can actually be used to build wealth if done properly, and that wealth can be transferred to generations.
All right, sounds good. Just to support what you said, so if you're a single filer and you're making under $150,000 a year in 2025, you qualify to get a Roth IRA account. If you're a joint filer, you can make up to $236,000 to be able to qualify for the Roth IRA account. And which leads me to another question. So a lot of people want to be millionaires at retirement. A lot of people don't want to wait till retirement to be a millionaire. So if I choose to be a millionaire at retirement, what kind of policies can I get that will set me up to be able to achieve the goal of being a millionaire or multi-millionaire when it's time for me to retire?
So insurance products are actually a lot of insurance products. They give you that flexibility, and they give you that control for you to be able to build your retirement account in an insurance product. Life insurance, you can do that with an IUL. You can do that. Now, the best way that I would recommend for anyone that wants to do that in an IUL is making sure to get a lower coverage and be able to max it all out. So put the most amount that you can put that does not trigger tax penalties. So there's something we call MEC, maximum endowment. Basically, if you go over that amount, all the tax-free benefit that you're supposed to get in your life insurance policies, you have to forfeit it. So you just have to make sure that you do not go over that amount. But here is the thing, when you do that, you automatically know that your coverage is not high enough to take care of your family members' needs if anything was to happen to you. So, in that regards, while you have that low coverage design and you're max funding it, even though the quote unquote returns that you get from the market is not going to be as high as what is in the market, you're still getting something, and you have that guarantee that you never lose anything that is in that account. So for me, an IUL would be a good place to go, but even much more than an IUL, because while the IULs are great, what I've noticed is a lot of it, because of the caps, you don't get to maximize the full potential of what's out there in the market that you can do. Now, another option is for you to actually do annuities. Annuities are great. A lot of times, the problems with annuities are you have to have a lump sum amount to actually have one. And aside from the lump sum amount, the company also wants to know that this is not a money that you're going to be able to come back for in the next 1 or 2 years. So, depending on where you are cash wise, you could either do an IUO or you could do an annuity. We have annuities that are actually flexible where you can be putting money like almost every week if you choose to. You can be putting money into those. The beauty of annuities is the fact that there is something a lot of these annuities they have what we call participation rate, which even some IULs have it, but not as high as annuities. I mean, I had someone that I worked with 2 years ago, and she literally called me and said, 20% returns on our annuity. I'm like, yeah, just imagine if you had 100,000 in that account. And you just got 20%. Now, what truly happened was the index that she was linked to did not actually return 20%. The index returned about 9%, but she had over 200% participation. What that means is the market returns 10%. 100% of what the market is that 10%. So if an index, say for instance, the S&P returned 10% from the market, that's what it returned. 100% of what the market returned on that index is 10%. But you have it such that you bought into the participation and you said, no, I don't want to have 100%. I want to have 300% participation in this S&P. So when the S&P returned 10%, which is 100% of the returns in the market, you having 300% participation, you're not going in at 10%. You're going in at 30%. So the returns on your own hand, when everyone is collecting 10%, because that is 100% of what the market return, you are actually getting the participation of 300%, which is technically 30%. So it's kind of like a multiplier effect. A lot of people don't know this, but those are like the simplest ways of actually getting your money to work for you. I tell people not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone is going to be able to flip a house, but you can take advantage of the things that are around you. Take advantage of the financial institutions. What do they have to offer? Again, you need someone that knows those things on your side. This is not something that you're just going to set up and walk away from it. I sit with people that I've done annuity with in the past. I ask them, I say, you're going to get an annual statement. We need to look at that statement. What changes do we have to make? Oh, this other index is going up to 350%. Do you want to go for it? I mean, I don't recommend you go for it because it does have this, it does have that. Let's go for a lower one at 270%. It doesn't come with this, it doesn't come with that, but 270% is better than 100% if this index was to do fine in the market. And just the same way your money is protected from the market volatility, we have annuities that are designed like that as well. I mean, most annuities are actually designed, they don't have that market volatility in there. So it's kind of like there's so much information. There's so much information. But at the end of the day, you have to have someone in your corner that knows what is going on, what they are doing. And that's something I've realized. A lot of us, we don't have people in our corners. We hear that this is happening and we just go for it. And because of that, we're not asking the right questions. Anybody that wants to build wealth now and use it for retirement, I recommend to them IUL is a good place to go. Just understand that for you to get the full benefit of that IUL for your retirement purposes, you cannot have a high coverage. You need to keep it low so that you can max fund it. Because when you do that, majority of that money you're paying into goes into your policy value. And that's what is in turn put out and linked to indexes in the market. Or better still, if you have that one time lump sum that you're able to just put in and start up your annuity, you can go for an annuity because with that, you have better chances of actually linking to several indexes that have higher participation. You're linked with indexes with higher participation. That means you're not just getting what the market returns, you're getting a little higher and over than what the market returns. So either an ideal grade or an annuity, that would be my recommendation. But depending on what the person is able to afford, that is at the end of the day what's going to determine what route.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for the explanation. But for many of us that don't speak the insurance lingo, you said IUL. What is IUL?
IUL is a kind of permanent life insurance policy. It's the index universal life insurance policy. So basically, it's a permanent policy, which means that for as long as you live, at least up to for most of these illustrations that I see, it's up to age 120. I mean, if you're living up to age 120, that's a very long life. People get to 100, 110 and cool, but not very many people get past 120. Not very many. The high UL is the permanent policy that allows you to put in flexible premiums into your life insurance policy. That's the universal factor. It's flexible premiums. This month you can decide to put $500. Next month you're like, I'm really tight on cash. I'm just gonna do $100. That's fine. It does build a cash value in the account. The cash value in the account is actually linked to the index in the market, like the S&P 500, like the Nasdaq, like the BNP Paribas, BlackRock, all these indexes in the market. It is linked to them. So when these indexes do great, you get a return from what the market returns. Except with most IULs, those are capped. They could be like capped at 10%. So if it returns 24%, you get 10% and that's it. If it returns 8%, you get 8%. So the index factor is the fact that it is linked to an index in the market. So that's the IUO, which is kind of like the popular one right now. We also have all lives. All lives are also permanent policies, except whole lives they're a little bit different in that their premiums are not flexible. It's a fixed premium, and also your returns on those is kind of like set. Some 3.5%, 4%. You don't have that flexibility with the index of, oh, it returns 8%, you get 8%. It returns nothing, you get nothing. It's kind of like fixed.
Okay. All right. I know you mentioned something about max funding your IUL. So if you do an illustration for me for 100 years, will I pay the same amount from now till I'm 120, 100 years, depending on how long the illustration is?
So it all depends on how long you want to pay for. A lot of people would say they don't want to pay past the age of 65, which is reasonable because what's the retirement age? 65. And personally, I don't even want to do it past age 65 for most people because I feel like at that point you're not working. So why would you want to continue to pay past this period? At this time, you want to start taking out of it. So if I were to do an illustration for you, I will most likely stop the payment for the premiums at the age of 65. And it does the calculation for us, and it shows us and says at 65 you're no longer paying, and you've paid all of this amount. Okay. Some of these illustrations, you have the guaranteed, you have the non-guaranteed. So you're gonna see the non-guaranteed values telling you if everything was to be at this percentage, this is what we think you should have, but it's non-guaranteed because past performance is not an indication of the future, so we cannot really tell you that that's what you're gonna have. But we're saying for illustration purpose, this is it. So yeah, to your question, I will probably just do it up to age 65 of your payment, but still have your policy run all the way through. How long it will stay again depends on what you're trying to let it do for you. If you're just trying to let it make sure that it stays till you pass away, it should be different from I just want to make sure that I want to start taking income at a particular age.
Okay. So if you do an illustration for me and I'm making the minimum payment, I'm not max funding it, will I get the same result at the end of the day? Maybe I want to keep it until I'm 65 or until I pass away. Will I still get the same value? If I don't max fund it, I'm just making a minimum payment or minimum.
You won't get the same value. You won't get the same value. You will get some value, but not the same value as someone that is putting a little more. You will get some value. It's not just going to be the same as the person that is max funding it because the person who is max funding is putting the maximum fund into the account, but you are only putting the required amount. So at the end of the day, there is room for a lot of room for improvement on your own hand, which means that several years from now, we will see a lot of gap in the income that Helvis, who was max funding his, has from you, who was just putting the minimum. We will see a lot of gap because you had a lot of room for improvement that you didn't take advantage of. And that's fine. You don't have to. You're just doing your required to keep your policy in place. But he's max funding his. So at the end of the day, we should see a really big gap as well in between the two of you. You would have some value, but it's not going to be the same as someone who actually put in the most that they could put into their own act.
Okay. So my face value will still be the same. And if anything happens, my family members are still getting the face value of the policy.
Yes. If you're letting it as a permanent policy, yes. As an IUL, yes. Most likely you should. Now, again, like I said, with those illustrations, they show us what's guaranteed, they show us what's not guaranteed. But the goal is so long as you're paying, you have your debt benefit that should pay out to your loved.
I mean, all of these things sounds confusing to me, man. I think I should go learn about insurance. But
Yeah. You just have to be able to verbalize what you want to the person working with you. I
okay,
want to make sure that rain or shine, destiny is in existence when I pass away at the age of 100. If I live up to 100, it's their responsibility to structure it such that it is in existence till that time. Yeah, and it will be. It will be. Well, except God comes.
according to the word on the street, I think they said at some point you can put it on autopilot. So by that, what I mean is they you can actually be paying for the premium from the earnings with IUL. So you can just be using the earnings from the policy to to take care of the premium. So more or less is on like on autopilot. My question is, I completely think I made a mistake already. So if I discover that I bought the wrong product, okay, wrong insurance product, like wrong life insurance product. How do I go about it? Number one. Number two, how can we get our children to benefit from this? Because I know that other people, like the wealthy people, they try to set up their children as early as possible. And how do we get them to benefit from this? Because okay, me, it doesn't look like I can benefit from it. It mostly sounds like it's dead benefit. So God helping me, we Africans, we always have God factor. We always pray for everything. So God helping me, maybe I can be able to pay off the mortgage before, I leave them alone. But how can be able to set my children up with it? Is there a particular policy I can buy other than, the ones Gaba is selling? Is there any other product that, we can buy for them, set them up? Maybe by the time they are 30 or by the time they finish college, you can say, hey, this is for you. Maybe you want to start a business, you can cash it out. Maybe you want to do this. You want to get married, you can spend that. You want to set up, whatever you want to do, the money is there for you, or they can actually use it to pay for college, which will relieve you of the stress of paying for college. So is there a product that is, tailored for children?
So, to your first question about you think you got a wrong policy, here is what I'm going to say. If you think you got a wrong policy, what I personally want to ask is why do you think you got a wrong policy? And I think I already know what your answer is. Now I do not know the specific, but I think my your response is going to be in the lines of I don't think this is what I want you to do for me. So which brings me to ask you, what do you want that policy to do for you? Let's assume that you don't have one right now and you want to get one. What would you want your life insurance policy to do for you? Based on the little knowledge you have about life insurance, don't let me start telling you all the features of a life insurance policy. Based on your own little knowledge, what do you want a life insurance policy to do for you? So you tell me, and I'm going to tell you, look, you have a life insurance policy, it's good. Whether or not you think you have a wrong one, and you do have that right to think that way, but to the fundamentals, if anything was to happen to you today, it is sure to pay out to your loved ones. That is the fundamental of a life insurance policy. It's getting a little bit intricate and getting into the weeds that we are all about these features and everything, which is okay. My recommendation would be no, don't cancel your policy. What you can do is you can reduce the coverage amount because maybe you're like, yeah, this is way too high. It's not making any sense. I'm looking at my account. I'm not getting a lot of I'm not seeing my value go high. Well, first and foremost, the cost of insurance is probably going to take some part of it. It's not that it takes a part of that premium. So the insurance company has to take care of that first before whatever it is that's left goes into your policy value. So my recommendation would be, have you considered bringing down your coverage? Call the insurance company and talk to them about bringing down the coverage to something that is a little lower. And you can either continue to pay that same amount. If your goal is to be able to see some money grow, then you can have them reduce the coverage and still continue to pay that same amount. So long as you do not you do not go over the max, you will be good. And at that point, you should start seeing a lot of that money going towards your policy value. So that would be my recommendation, but never to cancel it. Don't cancel it, reduce the coverage amount. You can either continue to pay the same premium if your goal is you want to see your cash grow in the policy value, or if it's a case of no, it's just too expensive, reduce it to what you can afford, but don't cancel it. Don't cancel it. Reduce it to what you can afford. And just like you said, at some point, whatever policy cash value you built in that policy, if you stop paying, it can start paying for the cost of the insurance later on, which means that eventually when you pass away, that policy should still be there to pay out to your children because you have it such that even though you stop paying, you build cash value to sustain the account. And then to the question of the kids. So yeah, obviously do not cancel it. Do not cancel it. Bring it down, pay a lower premium, or bring it down, continue to pay what you want to pay so you can see what's growing in your account, growing even a lot better. And to the kids, the index universal life insurance policy is a great one. IUL is a good one for kids. And the reason why it's good for the kids is because they are younger. The premium on your coverage is determined by at least two, three factors. Age factor is there, the gender is there, and your health is there. Kids generally, kids generally, they don't have anything going on with them, especially if they never had anything inside. So the first few weeks or years of their life, except if they've had some things going on, they're usually healthy. And because time is on their side, they have a longer time to actually build money in that policy value than we older ones. They get to enjoy the benefit more than we adults. So already because of their age, they don't have to pay a high premium. I'm going to take, for example, a 5 year old, you get $100,000 coverage for that 5 year old. The premium is probably $21. That's the required premium to keep that policy in place. Well, if you could afford a little more, you can put in more, especially if for that 5 year old, the maximum you can put into that account is, I'm just throwing out a number here, I don't know for sure. If the maximum you can put in that account is 3,400. Well, the truth of the matter is, what is required is $21. Out of that $21, still throwing out numbers here, maybe only $11 goes towards the cost of that insurance. So if you were putting $21, $10 when take out fees and everything, maybe $8 is what goes into the policy value out of the $21 that is required. Well, in a year they would have $96, right? And hopefully the index linked to does something good and it gets some great returns. But what if instead of you're now doing $300? Why? Because that account could take up to 3,600 because that's the max. That's the most you can put in before you get to max. So instead of you putting 21, you put in $300. Well, they take out all of their fees and the cost of the insurance to a tune of $12. You still have over $270 in that account. So the $270 is what now starts to build up as a policy value. In the next 10, 15 years, you will be blown at how much money that account has sitting in there. Why? Because they've just spent the last 10, 15 years growing money because you were pouring a lot of money into it. And not just that, it was also linked to an index that is quote unquote performing, but even if it's not performing, you're not losing any money. It's not volatile. The money is kind of like stable. So with kids, they're actually the best suited for this product, as far as I'm concerned, because they have time on their side. As adults, we really don't have time. You have other things going on. You have other bills paid. But with kids, by the time they are 20 years old, they are just starting life. They are just walking, going to college. You transfer that ownership to them, and right off the bat, they continue to put that same amount. Give it another 10 years, they will be sitting on a pile of cash, a lot of it. So yeah, my recommendation would be for kids, start them up on an IUL, get them a $50,000 coverage or at most $100,000 coverage. The only reason you would have to increase their coverage is if you, as their parent, is able to put in more money. So if we know that after 3,600 on a $100,000 coverage, you're going to be at the max, and you're like, you know what, I can put up to 4,800 in this account. You're just going to request to increase that coverage because when you increase that coverage, it gives you room to be able to put more in. So for them, starting early with an IUL is great. Do it. If you are able to max fund it, great. If you're not able to max fund it, that is still fine. It doesn't matter. The good thing is you already have it. So when they are in their 20s and you transfer ownership to them, explain all of these features to them, let them now start max funding it. They are still young at that age, 25. They're still very young. So even if they start max funding it then, by the time they're 40, 45, they will be sitting on a lot of cash. Why? The cost of insurance on that policy, even though they are growing older, is still nothing compared to if you just got the policy at the age of 30. By that time, there's a chance that they are already self insured on that policy.
A very good comment. So now that we're still on the topic of children, we're talking about kids, to get them ready for college, what would you prefer a person do? Would you recommend getting a 529 or doing an IUL? Which one will bring the most results?
So to be honest with you, I'm not able to recommend that. What I'm able to suggest is what's your risk tolerance level? Potential for more risk is the potential for higher reward. If you are the kind of person that is okay with taking risks, 5 to 9 is the way to go. You're in the stock market. The market returns 30%, you get your 30%. And the market goes down, you're going to experience some dip. But you're okay. Why? Because you are always interested in taking risks. You don't care because you believe the more risk you take, the better the rewards that will come. Now, if you're the kind of person that's like, no, I don't want to gamble this thing. I'm not even going there. I don't want to take any risk. I'll recommend you do an IUL. Why? You're guaranteed that the market is not going to affect what you have in there. So even though your returns may be nothing or very little, you're not going to lose anything. So at the end of the day, the suggestion is going to be based on the individual, who the individual is. If you tell me, yeah, you're ready to take a risk, then I can tell you what, if you're ready to take a risk, I think you're better off in 5 to 9.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all are following the stock market today, but the last few days it's been rough. I hope on my 401k account today I was a little bit sad.
I hope
It
you didn't
wasn't
cry,
good at
bro.
all. So I can't imagine people with money in 5 to 9 or kids that are ready to go to college in the next year. They don't have a lot of time to be able to turn that money around quickly. And I know with the policies out there right now, I mean, with the political policies right now, things are going to get worse, even if they might get better in the future. But for now, it's going to continue to turn red. And it is sad. And another question that I do want to ask, for many of us, we're not business owners, we're not entrepreneurs. We work 9 to 5. A lot of us, our income are very limited, to be honest. We got to pay bills. We got to take care of people back in Africa. We got to settle the kids, still enjoy ourselves and go to a decent vacation at least once a year. So we don't have a lot of extra money to put in maybe 5 to 9 or IUL, but I believe we just got to find the right balance to be able to do everything that we need to do. With that being said, am I better off putting my money in a 401k or doing the annuities?
So your question is referring to someone who is not working for someone, right?
I don't have a super high income. I have a lot of bills to pay. I got mortgage. I got a car loan. I got to still put a little bit of money to take care of the kids. And I'm like, still got to take care of people back in Africa too. So, what would you recommend I focus on? Would you recommend I focus on 401k or I focus more on the IUL for me to be able to get a better result?
So for me, if you came to me and this is you asking me right now, two things. I want to know, does your employer offer you 401k? If your employer offers you some 401k, you want to be able to take it and at least put it to where you can get the maximum match from your employer. Because that is free money. You never want to leave free money on the table. It doesn't matter. Yes, the market is going to go up, it's going to go down. For me, I'm really not worried about it. And I'll tell you why I'm not, because I'm not looking to retire. I'm not in the red zone of retirement. I'm not retiring in 10 years from now. So I'm telling myself, the market is going to recover 20 years, 30 years from now. I'm okay. Why? Because I'm telling myself I have time. So I'm not going to worry about it. Now, depending on the age of that individual or if the person is just starting to work, for me, the biggest factor is your employer offering you some 401k? If they're putting in something, you want to take it and also put yours in up to the maximum match. Now, if you have some extra left, my recommendation right now would be to set up your Roth in an annuity. And we have companies that are doing that. Again, that's not something that's popular. You can set up a Roth, your own Roth in an annuity where literally they're just pulling that money from your account and it goes there. Two reasons why I like that option is because it's set up as a Roth. It comes out of your money, which is already taxed. Basically, what is sitting in your account is already taxed, right? Whatever is sitting in your checking account is already gone through Uncle Sam. It's what you have left. So they're pulling that money from your checking account or your savings account. That money is in an annuity that is designed as a Roth. You get tax deferred benefits and you get tax growth, tax-free, tax deferred growth. Plus, when it comes time for you to take that money with all the gains, again, remembering that this is an annuity that does not experience market volatility, does not have a downside, even if the market is right now doing what he's doing. Those who own annuities, they're probably just chilling and smiling because they're like, "No, I mean, I don't have anything to lose here." You are also, when that time comes, all of that money, all of that growth and accumulation, you're taking it all out tax free. So my recommendation to you is first and foremost, if your employer is offering you something, take it. Take part of it, put some of that money into it. If your employer is offering you nothing, jump on the higher Roth IRA train. Do that for yourself. Start putting that money in. Forget it. Yeah, some people are going to tell you maybe taxes are going to be lower in the future. You don't care because that money is not even going to count towards your taxes. So you don't care. It's not gonna be taxed at all. And there is no better way for you to actually grow your retirement savings other than you knowing that it is not exposed to market. Not regular, the conventional routes, a lot of it is in the market. Conventional routes are linked to the market. So if the market crashes, you also experience a dip in your account. But there are some that you can have in an annuity and you'll be good.
You've been wonderful. I mean, you are a basket of knowledge. A lot of it, a lot of it. I think you will keep coming. You will keep coming here. We wish to, keep having you from time to time, to take care of
Yeah,
some of
I'm
these
all right. I
issues.
love you. What's on the street with IULs, with annuities, with everything?
We would like to keep having you here from time to time. So my question is this. Hypothetically, I am somebody that works 9 to 5. I do all the overtime. I work 6 days. I'm looking for scraping for money. Probably make like $10 an hour, $9 an hour. My money is important to me. Okay, I'm too emotional with my money. So how do I, venture into this insurance, to make sure that they don't dagbo me, somebody is not selling me what I don't need. And how do I do my due diligence? Let's say I don't know anything. I know zero. I don't know anything about, insurance, life insurance. So how do I make sure that, the person selling me the product is not going to dagbo me? And two, how do I do my due diligence? Let's put another factor there. Let's say I really do not know, how to read and write. How do I ensure that nobody, the person is not gonna backbone me? Because most likely, if those are my conditions, I'll probably be limited to talking to, people like me, and there's a high chance that they will take advantage of me. We've been seeing it in recent time. Everybody is trying to make it. Everybody is trying to get fast money. I promise you, this place wasn't like this like 13 years ago. It was a lot better. But now everybody that is coming, they just want to come. Next month, they start building house in Nigeria. They start buying land everywhere. So how do I ensure that I'm not falling into the wrong hand and the person is selling me what I need? And how do I also make sure that, okay, you say my coverage is what, let's say hypothetically 50,000. How do I know that is exactly 50,000? That you are not taking some of my premium, to fund your lifestyle. How do I make sure? How do I take care of all of it?
So the first thing is self-development. You have to be able to catch up with the pace. The world is changing. And if you're still sitting down there and still waiting for everyone to hand it over to you, instead of you actually going out there to find it yourself, you're just going to get garbage. You have to find out information. You have to be able to go online, search for stuff, and ask questions. So if you're talking to me now, you need to be asking me what companies. If you come to me and you say this and this is what you want, you should be able to, after I must have told you the various products, the path that we're going to go, you should be able to ask me at our meeting, what company is this that you are recommending? And I should be able to tell you it is the Flying Eagles company. Well, you should, after that meeting, go back and find out about Flying Eagles. You should call Flying Eagles and say, Flying Eagles, I have been talking with one of your representatives who is an independent producer. She claims you guys have this product. Can you tell me a little bit more about the product? Let them tell you about the product. Ask questions. Does this product give me this? Does this product give me that? You want to make sure that what you have been told is exactly what it is because you're not just going to, you shouldn't just take anybody's words for it. You should go back out and do your own research because at the end of the day, it's on you. You're not just going to take what anybody tells you. It's on you. You cannot give the excuse of not being able to read because the world is changing. And if that's going to be your excuse, you're going to be left behind. So figure out how you're going to read, figure out how you're going to write, figure out how you're going to make that call and do that research. it is on you. It's not on the person that is actually getting you the product. It's on you to actually do a little bit of research. We've had experiences in our lives where we're like, why didn't I even do that? Like, why didn't I? For me, I've had one of such experiences where I'm like, how did I do this without even pressing on Google to say, hey, Google, tell me a little bit about this stuff. But all of those experiences is part of what has shaped my thought process these days. I tell people, don't just take it by the words. Ask questions. Reach out to these companies. Find out from the person, what company are you telling me about? What company are you recommending? And then you go back and call those companies and talk to them and ask them questions. So you can know when next you're meeting with me, you can literally tell me to my face, yeah, I had a lady and she told me, I read up about the company online and their customer service is not the greatest. And I said, well, every different strokes for different people. She's particular about the customer service. I am particular about the financial strength. I said, the papers says this company is a good company. They are actually rated A, B, A plus, I mean A minus. That is what is particular to me because for me it's about their financial strength. But for this individual, it's about customer service. So you have to be able to go do your own research. And don't you have to go about the excuse of not being able to read because honestly, there's no way around it.
I mean, it's not very uncommon to see a lot of people that are not probably not the sharpest knife in the kitchen. In fact, I've seen a couple. It's a hypothetical situation, a hypothetical question. Let's say the person is in this situation. Um, how would they go about it? It's been happening lately. We're always trying to take advantage of ourselves, of ourselves. One of our friends, tried to change, his floor, his distance, flooring, carpet to floor laminate, and somebody like us quoted him almost $4,000 over. Why would you do that? So it's not very uncommon to see all of these things. People actually selling you the product that is not exactly as described. Probably they've seen you because let's face it, somebody that is sharp, that can research for themselves, pick up phone, call these companies, make sure they are doing their diligence. I don't think they will do it to them. They always want to take advantage of those folks that they see that they are not really there. In fact, I had somebody that used to come to my office, you know, that, to check his paycheck for him. And a lot of us in the mortgage industry, loan originators, realtors, they're always a way to dagble people, to get more so that they can build their house in 2 weeks, 3 weeks back home. How do we make sure that they are not taking advantage of this folks?
So, to be honest with you, it's hard to actually advocate in this regard, but I think the best way would be is to create more awareness about the need for us to start working with professionals. Be ready to actually take that extra step to go over and sit down and talk with them and don't just take what you've been told. Because honestly, like you said, if you don't know those things, and it's okay, you're not supposed to know everything. It's not your field. You rely on experts. But even when the experts are trying to like go around you and do horrible things, how do you avoid that? Unfortunately, some of these things, I feel like you will never be able to avoid them fully. At the end of the day, you yourself make an effort. Make an effort to not just take what one person has told you about. Make an effort to read about it. Make an effort to talk to several more people about it. Make an effort to look for others who have similar experiences or who have gone through what you're currently going through. Like, I'm trying to get something. Do you know someone? Elvis, I'm trying to build a house. Do you know someone that can actually build a good experience with someone? There is a high chance that you're going to refer that person. I'm not saying that we should blow our trumpet or try to let the world know what we're trying to achieve, but we need to start talking to people so that we can get some help or assistance if we need it. Like you said, hypothetically, what if I wanted to build a house? Do you have someone that can build it for me? Not that I'm building one right now, but maybe in 2 years, I would like to have the contact of the person you use. What if I'm trying to get a life insurance policy? Oh yeah, there's several people. Well, who's the one person you have used or the one person you can recommend or refer to me? I feel like if we start doing that, we can potentially prevent people getting into the wrong hands or reduce such occurrences. If I've had a good experience with someone, then 99% chance that I'm going to refer other people to that person. Why? Because every of my experiences with them has been great. So I'm almost certain that you're going to have the same experience with them.
Because this thing is not just limited to life insurance. It extends to like most of us that are doing business and we always want to get more. We always want to, get ahead.
But it's not just well, it's everyone.
Yeah,
Some things I understand are not negotiable. Like you can't negotiate your premium; it's set from the insurance company. So it's either you're able to pay it or you're not able to pay it. So that kind of negotiation does not work. But there are some instances where you're able to negotiate. You have to be able to speak for yourself. You have to be able to advocate for yourself. If you're still waiting on someone to do it, it's I don't know how long it will take, but it could take a while. So we need to just get comfortable speaking about what we're not comfortable about. In not just speaking, but walking up to people and hypothetically find out if they've been in that situation. Because yeah, I understand what you're saying. People wanna people wanna outsmart you. Yes, you are very right. And unfortunately, I don't think it's just that we have a lot and from our people, quote unquote. We always think we're very, very smart. And I'm like, yes, we're naturally smart people because of the way we were raised, our educational system. But at the same time, you have to understand that you're not the smartest person around. There's probably other people that are seeing things that you're not seeing right now. And for you to just think that they are dumb enough to not notice that, it just makes you look even horrible. So, yeah. But my recommendation would be we all have to be our own advocates. Start talking to people, hypothetically ask about things, and hopefully you get a referral. Because if you do, there's a higher chance that you're getting something good. Yeah. Versus you just listen and that's it. And you're just gonna go with it.
All right, we'll definitely, bring you back to come talk to us more. We'll like to dive deep on looking into doing 401k versus doing a Roth IRA because of the tax advantage or disadvantages at retirement. But I know you've been with us for over an hour and some change now, and we don't want to take too much of your time. But as we wrap up, what are the challenges you've come across as a business owner in America, especially when you are an immigrant? What are the challenges that you've had to overcome as a business owner?
I think the biggest challenge is having to actually prove ourselves. With insurance, I have not really had to do a lot of that. Well, I think I've had to within my community, having to make people understand that this is authentic. I don't have any reason to lie to you. Yes, a lot of you might think, okay, well, I'm gonna get paid and I'm doing this for my pocket. No, it's not about my pocket. It's first about you. I've had to like try and make people understand that I'm genuine and then for them using all the business, the one my husband and I run together, the biggest challenge is we're having to actually prove ourselves that we can do this thing. We've been in this business and we've been supporting families. We have what it takes. But again, when you meet with people, they still don't see you as the same. And that is, I think for us, we already know that. So it doesn't even bother me. We had an instance where we were literally talking to someone and the person was like, yeah, they don't understand us. We don't speak English. And I'm like, I am speaking English. Like, I am speaking English. So the person said they didn't understand us. At that point, I just realized this is something that I would have to live with. Constantly we're trying to like prove ourselves. There are some other times I just tell myself, I'm good enough. This is it. This is who we are. We're genuine as much as we can. We're not gonna try to defraud you. We're not gonna try and cut back on what the government is giving you. We're giving you something really good. So and other than just having to prove ourselves that we can actually do this, I don't see any other challenge because we work with different people. It doesn't matter the color, the race. We work with different families, and you realize that the several good ones that see what you're doing, when you pay attention to those, you really don't see those other few one or two instances that try to actually drag you and make you feel like you're doing nothing. So for me, I've come to realize put your focus on those ones that actually appreciate what you're doing. I've been to homes where These people are like, yeah, that was another interesting one. You're not US origin. You know, you're like an immigrant like myself. Your last name says it, and I could tell. And you're literally telling me that I am not speaking a better English, and I'm telling myself, you're not US. You're like Puerto Rican, like Mexican. How well can your English be English of USA? It's not going to be exactly. And you're telling me that my English is not English. So we've had those instances, but the biggest challenge for us is just having to prove ourselves that we can do this. But I tell myself I'm not gonna make this look like a challenge because there's so many people that are irrespective of who we have, whites, blacks, they appreciate what we do and we just focus on those. And for that reason, the challenges don't seem as challenges as much because of this.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been awesome hearing you talk, and I think I've learned a thing or two. I mean, I think the next step is to start implementing. Even though I'm getting old, actually next week is my 65th birthday, so
Maybe you have to delay your retirement.
I can't even retire, man. I can't retire. A lot of us will, unfortunately, a lot of us will not be able to retire. So we'll keep working until the wheel falls off. So, I just want to make sure we addressed everything. We touched everything. I mean, when you were coming to this show, you had something in mind to probably address. Did we address everything? Did we ask all the right question? Is there something else you would like to talk about?
Everything is touched, but if I'm gonna say something, it's people don't have to wait. We should not wait. We need to just take those actions and ask the right questions. And our community needs a lot of. We need. I don't feel like we need a lot of education. I think we just need a lot of motivation for people to take actions. We need a lot of motivation for people to become more responsible for themselves. We come from a part of the world where my husband was and I would say, Ebameshe, who knows who that knows who to do this thing for you versus you taking up taking up the challenge and figuring it out yourself. We come from a part of the world where it's like you gotta know someone to know someone. So a lot of times when people are trying to achieve things, they're trying to find someone who has done it before. Them just being the pathfinder and be like, yeah, it was rough, but I found the path. And that is affecting us. Because of that, a lot of us are not taking responsibility. And I say this because I talk with one or two people and I'm like, how are you 60 years old and you're telling me you don't know what's in your social security account, what you're potentially going to be earning in the next 5 or 6 years? Like, if you don't know that, maybe you're not even going to be able to retire. You need to be able to know that. I don't feel like education is what we need. I think a shift of mindset is what we need. People need to start taking responsibility.
This should be, we should be thanking God that things are changing. Like I always said, 12 years ago, it wasn't like this. 12 years ago, the most job you could get is probably like a home health care job. That was I mean, people typically do not tell you where they work. If you ask somebody 12 years ago where they work, they would not even tell you. So now it looks like everything is getting better. We are catching up. But I think the biggest factor to what you just said about people approaching 60, a lot of times we don't really come to America at a young age. A lot of us had the advantage to come or had the opportunity to come when we were a lot younger, maybe in our 20s. But I think on average, most people come to America at 35, 40. There's not really a lot of time. You'll probably spend 5 years to pay back your debt. That's 45 right there. Before you know, you spend another 5 years to settle down. In fact, for some of us that have been here long enough, a lot of us are still trying to settle down. In fact, you never settle down completely. You always trying to catch up and settling down and stuff like that. So to that extent, I don't really blame a lot of people because age is not. In fact, I have somebody that in the company I work. I think that Baba probably came here at the age of 50. Yeah, you can see at the age of 50, there's not a lot that he can do at the age of 50. No matter how prudent he tries to be, how much he tried to save, I don't think he can catch up with somebody that came here maybe at 30 or 25. Okay. I think that is the biggest part.
Right. Again, we need to shift our mindset. I mean, I watched one of your episodes talking about the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
It's everyone is trying to get the same result, but they do not realize that the same factors do not apply. A 50-year-old, someone coming in at 50-year-old, but you're trying to build a house, do this, do that, versus someone coming here at the age of 30, your factors are not exactly the same. So it's kind of like, why are you expecting to have the same result? Why does it look like you guys are competing to have the same thing?
To buttress all the points you've raised, I believe we need to start changing our mindsets. We need to start developing ourselves. And I know we've been slowly making some progress. I remember when we first came into this country over 13, 14 years ago, not a lot of people were buying houses because they thought that it was better living in an apartment than to getting a mortgage and living in their own homes because they don't want to deal with the stress of having a mortgage. They don't want to deal with the stress of maintaining homes. People in our communities are starting to change their mind. They've figured out that you can actually build well with you know uh properties with buying your own mortgage and living in your own house instead of paying rent, living in a luxury apartment and giving a lot of money to your landlords. We're starting to change our mindset. We're starting to go back to school to be able to earn more income. For a lot of people, they're not able to be a business owner or things like that. So I'll say we're getting better slowly. We're getting there. I know it's gonna take some time, and I know the children that we're giving birth to, they're gonna have a lot of things to fall back on, and they can explore more. Because us as a fourth, second generation immigrant, we don't really have the resources to be able to dabble into other things that can help us build well. But a lot of the people coming behind us, that we've paved the path for them in some sense, and they can do well. I believe they'll definitely do better, and I believe that our mindset is starting to change a little bit. We're starting to galvanize towards building a life in America and not just coming here to work and then going back home to retire. A lot of people had that mindset when they came. I'm only here for a few years. I'm gonna go back, but now that where you're going back to, it's a lot of dangers out there. A lot of people over there are looking to take advantage of you too. So yeah, as we change our mindset, we're gonna continue to grow. And I appreciate you coming over, being our guinea pig, being our first guest. And we'll definitely, keep reaching out to you. And I know when you have time, you definitely yield to our call. But for all the businesses that you have right now, how can people reach out to you? People that are looking to learn more about life insurance, that have older adults, older citizens in their homes that need some help, how can they reach out to you? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Do you have a website that you can give out to people to reach out to you?
Yeah, so we're actually on Instagram and it's Alleviate Insurance. The goal is to alleviate people's pains. So that was how I came up with the name Alleviate. So yeah, we're on Instagram, it's Alleviate Insurance. And on Facebook, it's also Alleviate Insurance Agency. We do have a website. It's www.alleviateinsurance.com.
All right, people, let's support our sister. Let's support each other. Let's follow her on Instagram, like her Facebook account. Reach out to her if you want to know more about insurance. If you have older citizens in your family that needs help, please feel free to reach out to her. And thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoy our conversation so far. So feel free to join us, share, comment, subscribe. Let's hear what you think about this conversation. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you and have a good one.
Thank you so much. You have a good one too. Bye bye.
Thank you.